Hey guys, so for today's video, I'll be showing you how to breed one of the easiest fish you can breed at home, which is the white cloud mountain minnow. This is my white cloud minnow tank right here. I have 6 white cloud minnows and a random harlequin rasbora. White cloud minnows are by far my favorite fish. They're super hardy. They don't require a heater or require a lot of swimming space. This is just a 5-gallon aquarium. They're super cheap. I got mine for 20 cents. They're sold as feeder fish. Overall, they're just super good fish. So the first step in breeding these white cloud minnows is you want to obviously have male and female white cloud minnows. It's kind of hard to sex them when they're younger, so you want to get more mature looking fish. I have a total of, I think, 2 females and 4 males in here. And to tell the difference between male and female, the males typically have a lot more brighter colors and they're a little bit more slender, while the females are a lot bigger. They have bigger bellies and they're a little bit more dull in color. So these fish are pretty easy to tell the difference between male and female. Breeding these fish, I've only had success breeding them one way, and that was taking them out of a tank and setting up a separate breeding tank for them. But people do have success breeding them in a tank like this. Mine are constantly spawning in this tank, but the only problem is as soon as they lay the eggs, then they eat them, and if any of the eggs survive and the fry hatch, then the parents just eat the fry, which is not very good. So the way that these fish breed is they are egg scattering fish, which means that the female will scatter the eggs all throughout the moss or gravel when they spawn. And if you see that the males are doing this weird kind of fin flaring, they're just showing off for the female. They're kind of fighting each other, so that's a really cool behavior from these white cloud minnows. If you can't set up a separate breeding tank, I would recommend having live plants and lots of them, even more than I have in here, because I have a ton and I still don't have any luck raising the fry up. Another way to help them not eat the fry is if you feed them frozen food like brine shrimp, frozen bloodworms, mysis shrimp, those types of things. And typically it'll get them in the breeding mood, and they'll be less likely to eat the babies because they're so full on all of the frozen food. If that doesn't work, I would definitely just recommend setting up a separate breeding tank. I'll go ahead and show you guys what my breeding tank looks like. So here is my white cloud minnow breeding tank. It's nothing super fancy at all. It's not even filled up all the way. But as you can see, there's a whole bunch of little baby fish in here from those fish that were in my 5-gallon tank. One of the most essential things in breeding white cloud minnows is you want to have a bunch of larger rocks or larger pebbles on the bottom, so that when they lay the eggs, they will sink through the crevices of the rocks and the adult fish won't be able to get to the eggs. So as you can see here, I just used some larger pebbles and some marbles. Marbles are pretty popular in breeding these fish, but I didn't really have enough marbles, so I just used some rocks. Now, the next thing that I did to breed these fish, I added some fake plants. I added all these fake plants and this little piece of hornwort right here. Once I did that, I put the fish in and let them breed. Before you add your fish to your breeding tank, I would recommend feeding them frozen foods, like I said at the beginning. This really gets them in the mood for breeding. It gets them all fattened up. So I would highly recommend doing that. And if you don't have access to frozen foods, or you don't have frozen foods, just feed a little bit heavier on the flake food or whatever you're feeding them. Then what I did is I just put them in the tank for about a week, and I opened this window right here to let some natural light shine in. White cloud minnows only breed in the early morning. They breed at first light. So as soon as the sun would rise, that's when they would start breeding. And if your tank isn't next to a window like mine is, you can just come in at around 8 or 7 in the morning and just turn on your light. I didn't even have this light on here when I was first breeding them. I just used the window. Just leave them in here for around a week and keep feeding them frozen foods. Leaving them in for a week will give them a chance to breed multiple times, and the eggs will stay down in the pebbles. It takes around 48 hours for the eggs to hatch. If your tank is a little bit on the cooler side, it will take longer, but if you have a heater in the tank, the eggs will hatch faster. My tank is at around 70 degrees. Once your fish have been in the tank for around a week, just take them out and put them back in their own tank, and then pretty soon you should start to see little tiny fry popping up. When I did this, my tank was really cold, and I think it took a lot longer for the fry to hatch and grow up. I remember looking in here for about a week and not seeing any fry, and I was really disappointed because I didn't think it worked. And I pretty much left this tank alone for about a month and didn't look inside of it. And then I came back a month later and I saw a whole bunch of fry. So I was super excited, and I wasn't even feeding this tank any food. So they must have been surviving off little microorganisms from this hornwort that I put in. If you don't have live plants, you can feed crushed up flake food. That's what I'm feeding them now that I know that they're in here. And I also added this big ball of algae back there, which hopefully has some microorganisms for them to eat. Even if you don't have a big tank like this for breeding, you can go out and buy one of these like critter keepers from Walmart or Petco. They're like $5 and do the exact same thing, but I just wouldn't recommend putting all your fish in there. Maybe like 2 females and 2 males, something around there, something reasonable. That is how I bred white cloud minnows. Well, that's gonna do it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure to like this video and subscribe. Also follow me on Instagram at Barry's Aquarium. I'll see you guys on the next video.